Don't blink, you should blink. Welcome to our show. Because you are having a wonderful day on this glorious 24th September 2025. We are going for a small peach and mango guru. So we're going to be opening it. Listen to it. I love that sound. And you even get the cheers. So why are we celebrating? This is a merely but a sip of courage, because we are about to attempt possibly our most complex video, our most intriguing video, and possibly the most soul-defying video. So of course I'm gonna give you guys an intro. Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. You know what? Let's put the glasses that way I look about 0.72%. No, no. About 0.72 times smarter, which means I'm looking less smart than I'm usually looking, which means that the glasses are kind of costume, but hey, it was a funny joke. This morning we had an appointment with the whatchamacallit, with the I'm gonna feel bad saying something I'm gonna be saying. I had an appointment with the governmental worker who's helping me find information. As I told you, there's two governmental workers. One of them is helping me build a CV, applying to jobs. You know, it's really nice. Oh, I got a text. I think. Get the lovely V or team talking to me. That's Rovia. Oh, I forgot to answer Timbo. You're a douche, dude. You don't answer people when they're texting you. Make you a giant douche. So we have this appointment with this person this morning, and our background is in psychology, right? Which is always something that interests me. So why does it interest me? Well, because you're gonna find a lot of people, and this is kind of dark, right? You're gonna find a lot of people that are interested in psychology when they have problems like you themselves. I went through a traumatic experience. My answer or my traumatic response was to proceed to research what was wrong with me. There had to be something wrong with me. And because I'm so self-conscious and I'm so self-sufficient, I decided to make some research about what's wrong here. Because I made some research about what is wrong here, I'm able to analyze or self-analyze and self-medicate with the problem. For example, the first time we saw each other, she said, when you face a higher dose of ADHD, when ADHD seems very chaotic, because she had a background in psychology, she said, what do you do? And I was able to say, listen, I'm going to go, I'm going to work out, I'm going to make a video, I'm going to do a video that's crap, so I'm going to film a video. I don't have those lots, but I'll film a video where I get to say crazy stuff, and I'll write it in a name that nobody's going to want to watch, and I'll post it. That way, this energy is gone, right? It's not in the phone, it's not in my brain, it's somewhere on the internet under a name that I don't even know. And most of these videos are private, so if you were looking now to find it, you wouldn't. So this morning we talked, right? And because she has this knowledge in psychology, listen, I'm surrounded with people that are smart, right? Am I saying that I'm smarter than most people? No, I'm not saying that. I'm quite the opposite, to be honest. But you know what would be really nice? Music. What's some music? I feel very chaotic because this morning, again, the conversation, we'll get into why it was so, but it was so fulfilling. So fulfilling. It was possibly one of the smartest conversations, one of the most fulfilling conversations that I had in a month. Because, and we'll get into it, and it's very weird as the reason as to why. There you go. Okay, so the code is this. Look, the first thing you find is porn. You want to see? No. Oh, of course. And then you can say bro is pretending to watch porn. The question is why? But hey, how cool would that be? Okay, so we're gonna go with I really miss my mistress. We'll go with self-care. No, we'll go with Anthem of the Lonely from Nine Inch Nails, which is really good. So we're talking to this person, right? And although I'm in a position which is very weird, and we talked about this morning. So the first appointment that we had this morning. Let's go, baby. Let's go. This song, bro. Again, filming here, here, and here, which is kind of insane. So we're talking, right? And it's kind of nuts because we were talking about the difference between Ink and Steph, and I think it's because she inspired me confidence. She just seemed trustworthy, and she just seemed understanding, right? That I was seeing shrink, which I'm kind of against because that's admitting that I have a problem, and I will drink myself to a stupor before I admit my problem. Now, this is not alcohol, so this whole thing didn't make any sense, but didn't it? Or did I? Right? I learned today something important. Do you learn to live or survive, or do you live to learn? See, this crazy mind was understood this morning, and this is just enabling the bad behavior. That maybe not enabling the bad behavior is the problem in itself. Maybe because I'm so afraid of what people perception, I'm not being myself, and because I'm not being myself, then, you know. So we start talking, right? And it's amazing. It's such a good conversation, right? And I don't want to be a dick because I love my surrounding, right? But at the same time, this is more so Steph's problem. It's not really a Vendetta's problem, right? It's a problem that I have in my personal life. In my personal life, I have amazing friends. I don't have a lot of them. In real life, I have 4. But me calling them, me talking to them is amazing. I can call on them. However, this is quite complex. This is borderline personality disorder, which we're going to talk about later, right? It's insanity. And if I feel like I'm talking with this person, my mom, my dad, I want to talk to them because they're going to be worried. If I talk to my friend, they're going to be worried. Like, okay, well, I know you're weird because I know you for years. Most of these friends I know for years. These those and always and the where the Saturday is what you make it. And then you realize just how nuts it is, right? So it's also insane because and this self, you don't want to trouble them, right? Because you don't want to trouble them. This is gonna be a long video. I'm telling you, this is my most complex video. This is my longest video, so you possibly should watch this, okay? So we go in and we talk, and when I have these problems that are more Steph, I don't get to talk to as Ink because Ink is a different character, right? I'm still me, but I don't have the problem that I have in real life. Is Steph broke? Undeniably. Is Ink broke? Ink never learned the value of work and money, so why would he be broke, right? So, coming back to it, this morning we were talking, and for some reason, we're delving in deeper. Again, she has a background in psychology, so I felt comfortable talking with this. But at the same time, and again, you have to be close enough to the person to be honest and open. You have to understand that this person is able to help. My parents, if I tell them, right? For example, my parents, they still don't know that I did a tattoo to replace emotional pain with physical pain, right? They just thought, oh, I thought tattoo would look cool. If they knew, they would be worried about me, right? It's been a secret I've been carrying for years. I was able to tell her today, you know? And it was just talking to someone who understood, but not at the point of what you're saying is making sense. There's a logic, a weird logic, a messed up logic, but some sort of a logic. And the craziest thing about logic is it doesn't have to be factual. What I mean by that, right, is I can tell you that the sky is green. Like, there's no way, bro. It's never been green. And then I show you a picture and the sky is green. And the picture has been photoshopped, right? So it's green. So you see the sky is green and you just can't accept it, right? Now, photoshopping is mental. Your mental will do gymnastics to Photoshop an ID, so it's appeasing and appealing to others, but at the very core, it's not the same ID, principal ID. Photoshop, you take a picture of an apple, right? This apple is old. It's brown spots. It's been dropped a couple of times, right? It's disgusting. And if you look inside, it's all what do we call it? Moldy. Whoa, where have you been? That apartment is a mess. I'm gonna have to clean it today. Again, messy brand, messy apartment. Clean mind, clean home, right? Um, so yeah, so you Photoshop this ID to make it more appealing, but it doesn't change the ID. So you're gonna go the crazy route. It's okay, well, how little do I have to Photoshop to give you the good ID? And this morning I felt listened to, but I also felt understood. Now, feeling listened to is one thing. Feeling understood is another different. It's another completely different thing. And it was the factor of the feedback itself. Talk about it. How important was the feedback, right? Um, and I admitted that I was doing videos because I was constantly I wasn't being honest, and I wasn't happy being not being honest. So, for example, she was like, "Why are you always last second? Because if you went earlier, we could have finished earlier, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I function better with pressure. I've always been like that." And she says, "Like, is there a reason? Are you acting like that in your normal life?" And then I was like, "Well, there's this show on Netflix, and this is the brain of In Vendetta. Um, Prepared to talk about something, but not prepared. I always go on the surface. I never dive deeper than the surface. I never go in details. And when I'm serious, when I comment somebody, I add a joke because I'm uncomfortable being nice to people. You know, because I feel like I'm kissing ass, and that's not cool. That's not cool, bro. So I kind of lied to her and say, "Listen, I had this show that I want to watch, and I have this show that I want to watch." Like, literally, this is exactly what I said. I have a show that I want to watch, and I know that's leaving this day on Netflix. Um, and I'm afraid I'm not gonna have time to watch it, which is something that's going on because yesterday I was super stressed about Brooklyn, The Good Place. Yesterday, The Good Place was, caca. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the truth, was annoying because it's such a good show, but I remember it to be so much better, and because I remember it to be so much better, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching, right? But at the same time, we watched it today, like, holy crap, this is so good. This is so freaking good. And then these parts I don't remember, right? And I'm like, wow, my brain is forever transformed, which is not true, but still. Um, so I told her, and I'm like, well, I make videos, and it just slipped out, right? Because I was comfortable, and being comfortable is like sipping. I keep referring to alcohol for some reason, I don't know why. Because maybe because I feel aloof, maybe because I feel relaxed. Talking about it this morning was a weight off the shoulder, and because it was a weight off the shoulder, you feel like you are lighter. I don't do drugs. The lighter I feel when I'm drunk, so it feels like you're drunk, but you're not really drunk. You're just drunk of a feeling. You're high of a feeling. I'm high on love. I'm high on life, right? So I tell her, and we were talking about, and she asked me, "How do you separate this?" And it's like, how do you separate the two version? Because you're telling me that you're this person, but you're also this person in front of me. Because I told her that I didn't say the name, thank God, because she's gonna check it out. I'm gonna say, "Oh my God, this guy is insane. Lock your doors. Lock your doors by crucifix. This guy's insane." See, said something serious, had to fix it with somebody that's less funny, right? She's screaming at me or somebody else? Well, so filthy. They say filthy. Off without you, and you're better off without me. Well, so ugly. I'm better off without me. You're better off without me. The bleeding. Private Punch, which is again an amazing band. So I said that, right? And she was like, "Well, are you different because you played a character? Why are you doing this?" Because this person. Okay, so this is complex, and this is the craziness. This is a huge spoiler for what's coming. I'm gonna dive in deeper after a bit, but for now I'll just introduce the control. So I said I do videos. It's like, are you different in the videos? I'm like, well, I used to be different, but since I've been doing it so much lately, I feel like I'm the same person, right? And then she was like, well, I feel like if you're focused on, that's gonna be hard to focus on another course or work. And this is where it gets complex because the work and the focus, the work and the possible schooling. Because, like I said, she's more so in guiding me into getting to a school and doing some courses. so I can get a better job, right? And she was like, well, if you like doing video that much, why would you go to school? And I'm like, well, and and then it's kind of crazy because I talk a lot, but it doesn't happen often that people question what I'm saying. Yeah, so she questioned what I was saying. I was like, okay, well, I didn't ask myself the question, and then you realize that it's different because Steph cares about school. Steph cares about work. Ink was just to create, right? Just to make content and make content and make content, right? So it doesn't matter how much I make or how much I don't make. It matters that I create, and it doesn't matter how good I create. I just create. The feeling or the idea or the concept of creating is as important as the product that's created, right? Again, do you live to learn or you learn to live? It's the same thing. It's the concept which gives different results, but it's the same variable. So you go in, and I was like, well, Steph cares, Ink doesn't care. It's like you keep referring to Ink as this other person. Why do you feel like it's different? And I'm like, it's funny that you say that because, and again, life is insane because about 2-3 weeks ago, right? I had a so she said that too. She said that. So that's fucked up because everything that I'm gonna say, you're gonna think that she said it and I'm just repeating, right? I had this identity crisis. Now, I didn't call it the identity crisis because I didn't think it was the identity crisis. I was like, okay, well, I don't know where Ink starts and I don't know where Steph begins. I was talking about legacy last week. Legacy in communication, right? What am I leaving behind? If Ink dies and I stop making videos, what is there left? How did Steph grow, right? And she had the identity crisis. I was like, holy shit, it is an identity crisis, right? And then I was like, why? Well, it is. It's problematic, but at the same time, is it? Because Ink is me and I'm Ink. They're the same person. They're just different name. At birth, I was giving the name Stéphane. I could have been giving the name Richard because I'm French, Robert, Antoine, Gilbert. A very French name. I was giving the name that I have, which identify me because this is what I answer to, right? Right? Your noun is more important than your pronouns, but at the same time, it's your identity, right? The same thing. So I was like, well, there's a difference, right? And I've been having a lot of problem lately saying, okay, well, because I'm always working. And then this is also happening. We're talking about this morning. The problem that I have with always working is, technically speaking, right? Am I very different in the real life that in, just the concept of a identity crisis or trouble, personality trouble, TPL. I don't know what you call it. I'm gonna check it out because there's a name for that. Trouble, personality, multiple, dissociative identity disorder. Even if I say it will be alright. She did Grace, come on. If I don't make music videos, I'm gonna go crazy, right? Then identity crisis, and it's kind of crazy because I never thought about myself like that. But then we talked about movies, and it was kind of nuts because she was asking me, well, I don't think you have ADHD. How do you sleep? And I said, well, again, it's a problem because when I do work a lot, I sleep a lot. When I don't work, I also sleep a lot, but it's not that I'm tired. It's just I'm bored. My brain doesn't understand anything else than just sleeping. I'll sleep for 4 hours even if I'm not tired. And she's like, it's very reminiscent with the lack of sleep and the identity problem that you have to a movie called Fight Club. And again, she didn't know that I'm a huge fan of Fight Club, huge fan. And it's crazy because this also makes sense. And now, there's going to be a delusion of grandeur, okay? But again, this is the exercise of talking, having an open conversation. Do I believe what I'm saying? Absolutely. Will I change my mind in 3 weeks? Absolutely. Is it the end all be all of my life? I'm going to end the movie, just like in the movie, with a gun in my mouth and shooting? Probably not. Because the guy didn't have pants and I'm not going out without pants. Let me make that clear. But in that movie, the guy doesn't know who he is. So the main character is called main character. He doesn't have a name. Then he becomes Tyler Durden, which is the better version of himself. And then everybody knows him as Tyler Durden because they're the one and the same person. There's one of them is a normal person. One of them has manic episode caused by hallucination because you don't sleep. So one of the things that you do when you don't sleep is you can have hallucination. Usually it takes 36 hours, 46 hours. But the hallucination, and this is also crazy because this is also related to sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis, you have a hard time sleeping. Your brain is still functioning. My apologies. So because you're not resting your brain starts to hallucinate, and those hallucinations feel real because your body's asleep, but your brain isn't. Which is why you got sleep paralysis, right? And that's one of the craziest things, right? And so like this is very similar, and just like the main character, there's no story. I told you guys the story before, so I'm gonna do a recap as quick. If you ask me my life before the apartment, very little to know. I'm a very reserved guy that likes to read, that likes movie, that likes music. If you ask me about the apartment, well, I'm still a gamer, but now I get to choose how much I'm gaming. I get to game the whole day, so this is the decay of the gaming and the takeover of the controller, right? The decay of the functionality in the society versus the rise of the king of controllers. And if you look, mangas, I was obsessed with mangas because I didn't have I didn't have much, not closure, it's boundaries. I didn't have boundaries, so I would hyper focus on things, which is also TDAH, which is in French for ADHD. TDAH, trouble d'apprentissage, hyperactivité. TDAH, trouble. I don't know what the D is actually. I'll never leave, I need those little things. A little bit on Dead Lion. Those little dreams. All I could say. That lion and the lion you would stay. I am a lion and I want to be free. You see a lion when you look inside of me. Which is the song, which is, again, you didn't see me choose it, but he's a guy that feels like there's a beast inside and he wants to be free, but also he's a father. He has to be a father. He has to maintain that normalcy, right? Remember an army of all those little kids. It's insane because this dissociative, I never saw it as something, right? And then you realize that me not knowing, it's also complex, right? This is also complex because she asked me what got you into making content. Because she said, I don't understand. You said that you're doing this the whole day. Because she did ask me what I do today. Well, I did when I'm not looking for work, when I'm not applying, I'm making videos, right? Which is the truth. I work 18 hours a week. It's not a job. For me, a job is 40 hours. I'm sorry. Well, it depends. If you go to school and you have a part-time thing, it's similar. It is similar. But what I was saying is, so I told her about the bully and the fact that I had a shitty life. So I wanted to come home, and I literally called myself Vendetta for vengeance. Then I met some cool people on the net, and I was like, you know what? They deserve to know the real me, and I don't have to be myself in the workplace. I can be myself on social media. And this is the definition of dissociative disorder. We'll read it together. Because this is just fascinating. I was questioned today. Which never happened. People are allowing me to talk, and at the same time, it's my fault because I turn everything into a joke. And because I turned everything to a joke, people don't worry. But should they be worried? I don't think so. I don't think that she should be worried about me. But yeah, there just seems to be some issues. Dissociative identity disorder. Dissociative identity disorder, previously known as multiple personality disorder, can have the presence of at least two personality states of alter. The diagnosis was extremely controversial during the memory wars and remained undisputed among psychiatrists. TD. This is insane. Now, this is kind of crazy because there's also schizophrenia, but I don't see Ink, and I'm talking to Ink, right? So this is kind of cool. Because that would be another story. However, for content's sake, two guys, one of them that is not there, would take me to viralness. So we're talking about that, right? And I was talking about how comfortable I was. And she was like, well, okay, well, you're saying that you changed. Is there some difference between you and Ink? And I'm like, and I'm not going to tell her the truth, which is... I'm not going to tell you the truth, which means that I don't talk to people. The only people that I talk to is Carl, Benjamin, my parents, Céline, Simon. So I kind of have, and Shao. Of course, Shao. How can I forget Shao? I love you, Shao. I'm sorry, Shao. Um, I got like a handful of people that know me from before I made content, right? And at the same time, this is complex because they know me before I made content, which is 4 years ago. Um, so if you knew me after 2021, you possibly know Ink and not me, which is crazy to think. This sentence is insane, right? And I was talking about how most of the conversation that I have, most of the social activity that I have, are via being a character. Even though the character is myself, it's still considered character because they're still a different name. Hmm? You won't call a pear an apple, and you won't call an apple a pear, although they're both fruits, although they're both delightful in a pie. No one else is delightful in the pie? Cream pie. Pun intended. Pun intended. So, we were talking about it, and it was just diving into it, right? And she's like, holy shit. And at the end, I'm like, I felt bad because I felt like an insane person trying to convince a sane person that somehow it made sense. This is what I love this morning. I felt like she understood what I was trying to say. I was talking about how Ink is more honest, it's more valuable, is more able to talk about its feelings, right? And that's the truth. In real life, I'm not the most emotional guy. I want to talk to people how depressed I am, you know? Even though we're not depressed. Why am I going to depression? Because depression was the last big chunks of emotion that we had. The last overwhelming sense of emotion, tsunami of emotion that we couldn't control. There's two kind of people in their life. There's factual and emotional. I consider myself factional. But then emotions are part of me, and if when they're taking over, I have to acknowledge that also, right? So we're talking. And then at the same time, it's nuts because we're having such a conversation. It's so nice. And she's like, okay, well, do you find yourself not honest? And I say, yes, I'm honest. I just feel like sometimes if I tell the truth, people are going to think I'm crazy. She told me about the time in your life where the most honest. And because you felt understood and not judged, I told her I was the most honest at 22 years old. I had my depression, I was an asshole, I was manipulative, and I was a liar. Now, let's repeat that. When was the time that you were the most honest about... When was the time that you were the most honest, right? And this is kind of crazy because after that we watched The Good Place. And The Good Place answers so many of these questions. So today the brain was titillated. We had multiple braingasm. And I miss those. Fuck a condom, let's go raw. So it's kind of crazy to say that the most honest I was when I was lying and manipulative. Because I didn't care about people feeling. I wasn't feeling well myself. So I was like, okay, well, the narrative is complete shit. Let's control the narrative. Let's push it in a good place. Now, was I hurting people? No. I thought that I was. Did I hurt people? Yes, possibly. Did I do it on purpose? No. I thought that because I was in control of the narrative, I could control the impact the narrative have. I.e., I can make a sad movie and I can make a romance movie. I'll probably do a romance movie because I don't want people to be sad, you know? But if my brain is saying to do a romance movie, they're not honest. And craziest thing is, I was more honest back then. Am I dishonest right now? No, I'm not dishonest. I'm actually really... the difference is insane. If you asked 4 years ago, to be honest, I wouldn't answer. I was so shy, I was so self-conscious that I wouldn't answer. But nowadays, I don't want to hurt people, and I know my word have consequences. So I'm more mindful of my words. And if they're not impulsive, if they're not their first thought, if they're in a thoughtful thought versus a first thought, then you control and you filter your reaction. You know? It's like this episode of Seinfeld, right? And you see the baby. Right? And there's an episode of Seinfeld which is crazy because this show is 30 years old, right? But you see a baby, and that baby is ugly. You know the episode I'm talking about. And everybody says, no, the baby is pretty, is gorgeous, don't worry about it. But then, I don't know, I think it's Cosmos that says this baby's ugly. And Cosmos is looked as an asshole, but he was the only one that was honest enough to say the truth. Huh? Now, this is the truth because now that we watch The Good Place, which is a show completely about moral and the good thing and the wrong thing, is the right thing to lie and hurt people, or the wrong thing is to, or is it the right thing to do than to lie and spare people feelings? I don't care if your baby is ugly. It doesn't mean he's gonna be ugly his whole life. My cousin, and again, I'm not the prettiest looking guy. I know I'm ugly, which is good, because my personality shines. Hello. My cousin, she's dating a guy, and this guy, he has a malformation. So he has the side of his eye which is caved in, and except for his face to be round, there's this place where there's like a, not a hole, but there's like a yeah, there's kind of like a hole or like a hill, you know. And then when you look at his son is also like that. So you're like, okay, well, this is possibly hereditary, right? So you feel bad because the kid, you know. But then at the same time, it's you hear? Shut up. See, this person has been screaming at me, and she insults me all the time, right? But then she's honest. She said, "Are you guys having a party?" And the guy said, "Yes." And you know what she said? "Shut up." That's badass. That's possibly the truth. Is it a asshole behavior? Absolutely. Is that the right thing to do? Possibly. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Questioning yourself is good. If I had the choice between questioning myself and not questioning myself, I wouldn't choose to question myself. So going back to the story, with my cousin, like, no one's gonna tell him like, yo, you knew that you had that physical deformity, and then you knew that your kid is gonna. And my cousin, she's pregnant with another kid, and my uncle said at harsh voices, said this guy is dumb. His first kid has the same deformity as him. Second kid's gonna have the deformity as him. Why bring kids in the world? I'm like, fuck, this is your grandkids. Is he wrong? It's a personal choice, you know? But I was more honest when I was an asshole. Because now, when I talk to people, I know I'm gonna hurt people's feelings. So I often don't say what I'm thinking, but I don't wanna. I have this friend, which we used to talk every single day. And this friend did a lot for me. He did a lot for me. But we don't talk anymore. Because I'm gonna text him, he's not gonna answer. It'll take like a week and a half to answer. And it's okay, he's busy, right? He's working on himself, which is great. Bravo. And I'm like, bro. Like, I also work. I work a normal job, I film, I do some recaps, I work a lot, I stream. And I still find the time to reply to people, right? You can find the time to reply to people, it's normal. But it was nuts, you know? I don't know how to say it. I literally have tea that texted me like an hour ago. She said wellness check, which is something I didn't invent, but Anna Marie, baby. Anna Marie. She's a sweetheart too. I have amazing people in my life. And it sucks because those people know Steph. They know Ink, they don't know Steph, you know? And that really sucks. Livy. She is flawless. It's been good. A busy bee, but buzzing my way through life. This you know, when you're tired, but it's good kind of tired, not making sense. Hi, and munch. You want some? Good. I'm sorry about this, people. we sometimes needs to upload. It's just insane because you had this little food for thought, right? And this morning, and also this is kind of crazy because this morning was very very intellectual, and then we had the Good Place that was very emotional and just a genius show. So again, it's a case of I'm being in a position where I'm stimulated in ways that I haven't been stimulated in years. I just don't know what to do. you know, you know. And then she was like, "Well, I literally felt bad because I felt like a crazy person again, and it justified self, right?" And then at the same time, the idea that came from it are crazy, but at the same time, and she was talking about, are you the best version of yourself? Do you feel like you're the best version of yourself? And I was like, I don't know if I'm the best version of myself, because the reality is I believe and fate, which is kind of crazy because you had this concept, but then it's explained beautifully and The Good Place. Now your concept looks like shit. However, it's basically the same idea. There's multiverses, I believe. I believe there's multiple reality in life where one, I'm a successful business owner with kids. There's one when I'm here and I'm one that's living in your basement asking for change and smoking crack. You know? There's multiple ink, and the nicest ink is the one smoking crack, by the way. He's the nicest guy. He doesn't have much, but will give you the clothes off his back. They're stinky, they're full of holes, but will give them to you. And then you wonder that, right? And then you realize that what led you to be the person that you are past experience. A single experience that led you to do different choices, a single experience that led you to do a different thing is completely nonsensical because, for example, right? For example, there's a version as simple as this. There's a version where everything happened the same, right? I'm having the same job, right? And I don't have that bully. That bully stops. After a while, he stops. Technically speaking, he can bully me as much as he wants until the 7th of May. Because the 7th of May, we discover Twitch, and the 9th of May, we start making content. If he stops the 7th of May, ink is never created. All that work we did, never created. And then there's a concept that allows that, or allows. For example, right? I was thinking about it, and again, it's mostly some of the Good Place influence. But you look at it, right? And you look. I forgot how nice this one was. You look at it, and you're basically seeing, like for example, Isaac Newton, who discovered gravity, right? It was an apple that fell upon his head, discovered gravity, right? There's an alternate reality where it doesn't make the discovery that day, and there's war in this country, so he goes to Cuba or he goes to Cancun. And he goes under a tree. And it's a papaya. It's a papaya that falls upon his head. Whereas he come back, he has a theory right now, right? And his theory is based on a papaya. But a papaya is a fruit that's from another country. So people are calling him a crazy person. People think it's his theory isn't good because it's not apple, right? And then it's some sort of broken knowledge. So if you look at books like Mein Kampf, which is the diary of a person in history, has been banned from schools. And do I think that person is worthy of having a book? No. Our hiding truth is not even better. You're doing a job of censoring everybody. The name Ink Vendetta is for V for Vendetta. You're censoring media. You're burning knowledge. You're burning knowledge. You're absolutely burning knowledge. There was this place where they used mercury as electricity. I don't remember what it was, but they talk about it in One Piece, and it's a real place. I finished this. And Chicago this morning is amazing. It is distinctively amazing. So with Isaac Newton discovering gravity, then it's people find his theory later on in a broken book, in a forgotten library. They find these hundreds of books, right, in a section that was caved in, and they find that book, and there's a lucky person that finds that and understand what he was trying to say. and he theorized the theory of gravity, and it's in the future of, I think, Newton, right? So the principle of gravity doesn't exist. Because the principle of gravity doesn't exist, um, which is insane. Which is insane. Um, oh, my apologies. It's insane because this person will invent gravity, and will still end up having gravity. It just didn't happen that day, and it wasn't invented by the same person. It wasn't used as long as it's been used. But the simple fact of gravity still exists. It's not a machine. It's a concept of reality. It's a concept of reality. Just like saying fire will burn you. We're talking about the person for Mein Kampf, right? Funny thing about Mein Kampf is it was read by a guy called Charlie Chaplin. Might have heard of him. A great father of comedy. Charlie Chaplin was doing a lot of nude film, and he literally did a movie where he was playing this character. And kind of crazy, isn't it? So yeah, she asked me if I was a greater version of myself, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe the better version of myself is passing on. Maybe it died. I don't know. Or maybe it's gonna come one day, right? Or maybe the event I was supposed to go through to make me a better person went through and just left. Imagine, okay? You have this girlfriend. Let's take an example that's better. You have this girlfriend, right? And you're supposed to meet her at a party, okay? And you're sick, you don't go to that party. But she's your girlfriend. In faith, you're marrying that girl. And in faith, you are raising kids together. Because you didn't go to the party, you meet her a month later. And again, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to fall in love, you're going to have kids with her, you're going to marry her. However, in this reality, in the month, she met with her ex, and her ex told her he still likes her. So she's back with her ex, and now you lost that twin flame, not because you didn't choose to do something. Maybe the action I was supposed to commit to become that better person wasn't coming because I was afraid. I don't know. I have no clue. But she said something which was amazing. I always do things do or die. There's no in between. Either I do it or I don't do it at all. There's no in between. There's no trying. And that sucks, because this is not healthy, right? I was saying, she literally asked me, so if you made a lot of content last year, why aren't you making that content this year? I said, well, I'm afraid I'm going to get into burnout and depression, which is a traumatic response, and she understood that. I'm going to be saying the same thing to my mom, and she'll say, don't worry, you'll be okay, you know? But life's not about you'll be okay. I don't know. And the polite thing to say is you're gonna be okay. The right thing to say is gonna be okay. I don't know. But this morning was just phenomenal, and to have an appointment where I'm being told all of these, and it's a person that I don't really know, but it's a person that I kind of trust because she has a background, and it's nuts because all of this I knew. The personality disorder traits, did I know about it? I knew I had some of the symptoms. I think that I have that as a sickness now. Am I in denial? I don't know. I literally created ink as a traumatic response. What if the traumatism isn't healed? What if I'm a victim of mind rape and I haven't healed from it? And everything that we do mindfully, it's still a reminder of this accident. I don't know. I have no clue. And that is the scariest fucking thing. Because there's no answer. There's no answer. You know? And I don't know. Now is a song. Every kiss. Corey Taylor, of course. Not without your life. This guy wore women's clothes and nobody ever made fun of him, which is insane because that's how much respect he has. So save your breath, I will not care. I think I made it very clear. And we have a tournament tonight. No TikTok live to love. Was that supposed to be enough? I only wish you were my friend, so I could hurt you in the end. From being to be a saint. Ooh. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway. Well, not that bad of a video. I thought it was going to be more chaotic. I thought it was going to be having a lot more to say, but it's rehearsed. We talked about this morning. You know? I went to the bank after I saw her because I had to deposit money for a bill. And, because 17 my stone, and so was pity in my throne. Never needed help. You sold me out to save yourself. I had to rehearse. Went to the bank, right? And I gave her, she gave me some paper to fill out, right? So homework. And then I came in and I was like, you know what? This is great. This is great because I have something to talk about, right? Because again, getting that help is very new for me. And I thought I lost them in the bank. And because I let them on the ATM. So what happened is I was long gone and I didn't go home right away. I was far. So I was thinking about, if I lose those papers, what does that mean? And of course my brain went to, if you lose those papers, somebody stole it. And the fact that somebody stole it isn't a big deal because there's no private information, there's nothing there. However, instead are there are honest. If I go back and fill it up a second time, it's gonna be completely different. Not because they're not honest, but because it's gonna be reflected, you know? This morning, having said all I said, you come back and you try to remember. It's hard. It's really hard. I don't know, people. I don't know. Anyway, do you know what I know? I love you. And I wish you a happy day, a good evening, a good night. I'll see you guys soon. Let's do the lovely, the good place. Thank you. I'm sorry, guys. It's a lot of thinking. You realize things and you haven't even thought about it, and you're like, okay, well, it's a possibility. So because it's a possibility, I should think about it. And because I should think about it, you realize that maybe you're not as confident as you think you are, or maybe you're not confident enough. Confident enough would be like, hey, fuck what those people think. I'm me, and that's enough, right? And I don't know. Anyway, I love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.